Before, ew. After, yay. Before, After, yay. Before, yes, that looks good because that's the scene shaders are made for. But afterwards, still looks good. And of course, you can keep the ray lights if you fancy that. Hi everybody! TecThor here and welcome to Techversity! Today, and per your request, we talk about shaders. You just saw they can look really bad in some situations, so I'm gonna give you one big fix to correct it all and 3 tips to polish it off and improve your shaders to look amazing all the time. In this video, I will concentrate on the Sildurs vibrant shaders, and you can use the tweaks that I'm about to show you for all the packages and even older versions. You want tips and tricks for other shaders too? Then tell me down there in the comments. Alright, let's start by pointing out the big problem here. Wrong lighting and some visual effects that are too dominant. Everything looks reddish and just awful. Nobody wants to play like that, not even Keralis.
You know what, let me just turn off the shaders because this might be teeny bit too dark.
No Keralis, it is not too dark. You unfortunately just didn't correct your shaders. Here, take a look at that. The same scene but with corrected settings. It is bright and we have the cartoony look of Minecraft, but polished with the outstanding visual features of the shaders. And just to make that fair, this is how it looks like without any shaders. Okay, let's get to it. The big fix to correct it all. The main problem is the distribution of colors in the shader settings. They make shaders look particularly bad indoors and, as you can see here in my test world, at night. Now to correct that, let's head into the menu, hit Options, Video Settings and Shaders. Then we select the shader we want to correct and go to the shader options with the button down here. Now let's go into emissive light, and this will by far have the most impact. Set minimum light to its maximum, which is 0.03. Then we're gonna reduce the red parts to 1.1, increase the green to 0.7 and also increase the blue parts to 0.5. Now click Done. We just increased the brightness of emissive light big time and now have to compensate the overall light by adjusting the brightness and the contrast. Therefore, we go into the setting Colors. Here we can reduce the brightness to 0.4 and increase the contrast to 2.8. The rest you can leave as is. So click Done and start feeling happy. Now your indoor and night scenes won't suck anymore. Look how much more natural and Minecrafty the scenery looks now. And we can always test the light settings with those 4 light sources here. Just by the way, sea lanterns and end rods should emit white light, while torches and glowstone should emit red light. And that is the case, just as it is supposed to be in Minecraft according to the vanilla looks. One just had to figure out the right combination of those values. You're welcome, I'm glad to help. Let's move on. Tip number 1, underwater fog. This feature is a little bit too strong and limits the view way too much, at least in my opinion. But you can replace it with a little trick. First, go to the fog options and turn off the underwater fog. Then go to the settings Reflections, and here we set refraction to on. Now your underwater world looks like this. You have a way better visibility while still having the feel and look of being underwater. Tip number 2, Wailing Objects. Take a look at that. Does that really look natural to you? If you play with shaders a lot, and I do, then this is going to bug you very soon. The object waving is just too strong. Let's correct that by going to the options and selecting Waving Objects. Here we are going to reduce the animation speed to 0.5 and that will slow down all the wobbliness. And the amplitude we are going to reduce to 0.55. I also do recommend to turn off the waving vines as they just look ridiculous. And now take a look at that. It is not as crazy and chaotic anymore and it won't drive you insane. Tip number 3, God rays. I personally only use those in specific situations, but if you like those intense and blinding light beams every time you look at the sun or the moon, then here is a recommendation for you. Go to the settings Sky and Lighting. After turning on the God rays, I recommend to set the God rays density to low. By that, the intensity of the light beams will be reduced and they will be not that obstructing for the gameplay anymore. You still can enjoy them, but it will look way more natural. Alright, and I got one more thing for you, which isn't really a tip, but fulfilling the request that you guys had. You wanted to know all my shader settings, and most of them we already covered. Let me just show the two options that I have set different than what we already have discussed, and you can pause the screen if you like to copy them. First, reflections. I pretty much have everything on in here. Okay, and the shadow settings. I'm a big fan of those and have them set to a maximum. What may be interesting to mention is the render distance down here that I have raised up to 110. By that, the shadows get casted over a slightly bigger distance, which smoothens them out and makes them look nicer. Please don't click away just yet. I have shown you how to improve your shaders from this to that and given you a handful of tips. Now it is your turn to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you want to see more helpful videos like this in the future. If you like to be entertained, I also have a fun to watch SMP series here on the channel that I recommend to check out. I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, have a great time and see you in the next one. Bye bye!